Yo. Oh my God. I don't know. The start of this season, obviously, no way in hell that I think it would be like this. You know, when the Big Ten was doing its Big Ten tour, going around all the teams and looking at their, that one guy who was saying that Nebraska has people, but he still thinks they have mental issues. This season has proven that, yeah, it was all mental. For the most part, yeah, we have depth issues. I said from the beginning the O-line is going to be the death of this team, and by and large it was. If that offensive line was even 10% better, definitely would be going bowling. Just not developed well, anyway, whatever. That's neither here nor there. What we are here to talk about is Happy Thanksgiving, guys. And second, I'm still full as we speak. Look at what this team is. Look at the bright spots. Look at the what could have been, and and obviously what nobody will shut up about, which has annoyed the piss out of me, to be honest, which is why I haven't posted anything for several weeks, is because there's nothing that I was going to put out that everybody else hadn't already beaten with a dead horse. Constantly chasing coaching rumors, and it's like, next. I've said it. I've already done another video, my last video actually, where I was talking about Mickey Joseph. I've made it no secret. Mickey Joseph does all the little things right. You know, he's one of those cats that I promise you give him 1 or 2 years as the head coach, he is going to be a hell of a head coach from what he learned during that time period. Whatever, that's neither here nor there, because I don't think after the way the season went, I don't think it's going to be him. Well, okay. Matt Rule was kind of one of those cats that, for the most part, I didn't know a lot about outside of what he did at Baylor. And out of all the guys tossed around in terms of names, he was the only one that, for the most part, like, I kind of was like, at the end of the day, I wasn't liking any of these coaching options that was out there. It's a very weak coaching market that's out there. Weak. Which is part of the reason that I was vehemently saying, let's try Mickey out. Let's try Mickey out for the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and just see how it goes. And in 2 or 3 years, what's the coaching market look like? Because this coaching market is garbage. Mickey didn't get hired as the guy, so that's off the table. All right. Matt Rule was one of those guys that was kind of, by default, it's like, okay, sure. Temple, okay, cool. I remember when he was at Baylor. Why are all the coaches coming out of the Big 12? How does the Big 12 coaches fare in the Big 10? I don't know. What we've seen over the past few years is how different it actually is. People coming from a different conference that knows nothing about the Big 10 or the SEC are in for a rude awakening. So I wasn't all in on any of the Big 12 coaches, really. How much of this is assuming he can retain Mickey? How much of this is a handoff job, which I'd be okay with? Honestly, as of right now, Matt Rule to me feels like he hasn't been anywhere for very long. Panthers, Baylor. So this is a mercenary hire. We know he's not going to be around for very long because of his track history. Doesn't matter how much money you pay him. The dude is getting insane amount of money on the back end. Termination from Carolina. Frost and Riley are getting how much money off of being terminated beyond their contract obligations? Massive payouts. If I want to get rich, convince the world that I can coach at Nebraska, be abnormally average or terrible, get fired, and get a massive payout. To me, that's what this feels like right now. It's a massive cash grab. Do I really think he's going to be able to do anything in Nebraska? I have no idea. Over the past 4 coaches we've been through, I have no idea anymore. Which is why I'm sick of mercenary style coaches, and why I want guys that do the little things correctly, which is what Mickey did. I don't give a damn about his lack of experience. Don't care. I could be wrong. Honestly, if Matt Rule retains Mickey Joseph and, say, Bill Bush as a special teams coordinator or whatever, I'll start singing a different tune. If we can hang on to a lot of the different players that we already have committed to us and the players that we have on the roster, I'll start singing a different tune. I will feel like he is being genuine to what we already have and how he wants to intentionally move forward and building forward, right? But if he's coming in with, like a bulldozer and just clearing house completely, everybody starts leaving, and he brings in all his own guys and cans everybody. To me, this is a cash grab. He's going to be gone in 3 years because the fans are not going to be patient. I don't like this hire. But I don't like any hires. I'm being bullish about that because it's like Mickey was the only guy that, for the most part, made sense right now because the coaching pool sucks. So we'll see what happens. I could be totally wrong on all these hypotheticals. He may or may not retain some of our old coaches, and he may actually hang around for the full 8 years. Matt Rule could be the complete opposite. He could actually, instead of all the other places that he was coached, he could be here for 10, 15 years. And he could retain some of these coaches and build a long-lasting legacy at this school. That'd be awesome. I don't think that's what's going to happen. We didn't keep Mickey. The fan base is going to be divided. If Mickey is not involved, Mickey Joseph is not involved at all, the fan base is going to be so divided. So divided. And to me, this is just such an uphill battle. See how it goes. Matt Rule, baby. Get on or get off. By and large, I just want to say hello again, guys. The season is over. Season is finally over. Bright spots. We're looking at bright spots, guys. First obvious one is Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer has set the single season receiving mark. I'm not sure exactly what the specific totals are. I didn't bother looking it up, but it's past what Stanley Morgan did back in 2018, so he surpassed him. He's one of those cats that is a locker room unifier. And not a unifier in terms of moxie and leadership, a unifier in terms of his attitude, in terms of how he approaches work, but also a sense of humor, confidence, and swagger. And this team absolutely needed that. And he produced. Imagine what he could have done if Nebraska was able to protect our quarterbacks from getting beat up. But then also let's move on to Anthony Grant. Anthony Grant initially was looking like one of the best running backs that I have seen in a long time in Nebraska. He didn't have a lot of help in terms of what was going on up front, not only scheme-wise, but also just the quality of the offensive line. He wasn't getting a lot of help. And to see him do what he did was impressive. And then some of these players that I'm going to list were players that nobody expected to actually not only be good, but step up and become solid cogs of the team. And the next one of those was Malcolm Hartzog. Undersized, not highly recruited. I don't even know if that kid was a 3-star. The attributes that he brings, never out of position, intelligent, gritty, are things that you can build off of, are things that you can is a perpetuation for a player to get a lot better, right? Hartzog is one of those cats. The other two cats are Colton Feast at defensive tackle, and Ernest Hausman. Colton Feast, for the most part, seemed like a weakness. Seemed like somebody that's like, why is he starting and some of the guys that we brought in isn't starting? Right next to Ty Robinson. And inevitably, as the season kept progressing, the defensive line kept getting better with the simplification that Bill Bush brought to the defense. Next thing you know, Feast he's the best defensive lineman. Nobody saw that coming. And again, same thing as Hartzog, going back to grit, intelligence, and just getting better and staying consistent and staying healthy. Ernest Hausman, local kid, not highly recruited, to my understanding. Ended up becoming one of the major playmakers in linebacker. He was the only one that could stay healthy. The other two guys that were Mr. All Big Ten, all-time tacklers a year ago, neither one of them could really stay healthy, and honestly, they both kind of underperformed. But for the most part, to find a bright spot in the youngsters, not highly sought after youngsters, to all of a sudden become playmakers, become difference maker, a foundation of something that you can believe in terms of perpetuation of getting better. Forget all that 4-star, 5-star crap. You know what I'm saying? Like they were, all three of these guys were examples of you don't need that shit. Percentages, we're talking percentages. I mean, like if you're. Alright, moving on. What could have been? I already said it once and I'll say it again. At the beginning of the year, that this offensive line is going to be the death of this team. That's about the only thing that I got right. I will admit, as the year progressed, you saw flashes to where they weren't the equivalent of a saloon swinging door, that I read somewhere that was actually a great analogy. They'd be there, but they would just kind of let you through. You know what I mean? With two different coaches. So a lot of that has to do with, again, system, and then going back to the stars. You know, how many of those guys were 4-star athletes? Did they deserve those stars? Or were the stars just flash and really just didn't justify itself to begin with? I don't know. The offensive line didn't really get better. Well, they did a little bit, and I said that earlier, but they didn't really get any better for the most part. And I think a lot of that has to do with the scheme within the type of offense they are being asked to run. And also, with two coaches, and you get the same result, I don't really put that on Raiola per se. I put that on scheme, and I put that on the type of players you recruited for your scheme, which that goes back to Frost and Austin, right? So what could have been? Say the offensive line was a strength, right? Casey Thompson in the middle of the year, but even the backups beat all to hell. That offensive line beat up basically all three of our quarterbacks. To me, that's a tribute of how actually bad this offensive line was, to the fact that they found a way to allow all three of our quarterbacks to get the piss beat out of them. You know what I mean? How many more wins do we get against Minnesota, Illinois, whatever? It's fun to talk about. So I don't know. Leave it in the comments. You know, you tell me if this offensive line wasn't as atrocious and was actually good, or a strength of the team. How good would we have looked? How many wins would we have had? Bowl game, whatever. And would Mickey Joseph be our next coach? I don't know. I posit that to you guys. The season's over. Nebraska at least ended well. They ended the season a character-driven season. Like their refusal to bend over and just flat out say, you know what, the hell with this. Can we hurry up and get to the end of the season? Like, my goodness, guys. Like, literally, 2 years, a 3-9 season last year, and a heartbreaking losses. Garrett Nelson and his broken heart out of the Northwestern game, the opening game of the season, firing our head coach after 3 games, more heartbreaking losses all the way to now, and to still have heart, have grit, togetherness, family, never say die. Man, you got to give credit where credit is due. Forget the coaching stuff. I will always say what kind of a leader Mickey Joseph is, just keeping this team together that already had high character. But for him to keep it all gelled together with the coaches that he had, which obviously weren't his coaches. He'd only been here for a few months until all of a sudden, boom, here's a head coaching job. You know, I think this season, even though the wins aren't there, all the little things behind the scenes that we don't get to see has been pretty fucking impressive. So for that reason, you got to look at this season with a little bit of appreciation. We'll see how it goes, guys. I don't know. Anyway, I love you. Long live Nebraska. Aren't we kind of happy the season's over? Peace.